We live in a world where everyone has an opinion.
Their own outlook and perspective.
On everything.
Do we ever hear these opinions from everyday people?
Like you and me?
So we have 5 everyday people.
With 5 different opinions.
Over 5 great plates of food.
Coming together to break bread.
Discussing today's trending topics.
So stick around and join us in this conversation because this is
Breaking Bread Sunday Brunch.
We have coffee shops, and I have to admit I like some of them, and some of them are actually African American owned. The sister down the block has a great little coffee shop, some biscuits in the morning, hook you up. But we're changing. We're becoming more diverse. My only concern with that, with gentrification, because all are welcome, it's all part of Brooklyn flavor, is that people come to be a part of the flavor that we have. They come to enhance the flavor, not to diminish it or delete it, and definitely not to disrespect.
Basically, it's more people. It's just overcrowding. The neighborhood is gone. It's the people that live. I used to know everybody that lived in the building I grew up in. Now, I may know about 5 families that lived in. It's a 60-unit building, and the neighborhood is gone. There's no community anymore. The gentrification has pushed out so many people that, there's the families that you used to know, literally families have been broken up and had to move and, go to different sectors of the city, and it's just not the same.
My fondest Brooklyn memory would have to be summertime block parties of all of the girls getting together to practice their dance routines. The boys are running around, riding their bikes, building clubhouses or something crazy. Everybody just outside, barbecuing, having a good time, listening to music, enjoying the summer fruit, and just chilling out. The old Brooklyn used to be like a sense of family. It was community. We knew our neighbors. We knew who the drug dealers were. We knew everybody. And in this new Brooklyn, I have no idea who these people are. They're here for the term of their lease, for as long as the roommates are getting along. I was walking down the street, and I don't know if maybe my braids attracted somebody, but this guy just walked up to me and was like, "Hey, do you want to buy some bud?" And I'm like, "No, dude, I don't even know you. Get out of here. What makes you think?" But I don't know these people. There always used to be a sense of, our kids were safe to go outside and play. We would play outside all day. I don't know about anybody else. We went out, we didn't even come in and wash our hands. Maybe somebody called us in about lunchtime to grab something, but we stayed outside until, right, Scully, right, all of those little things, playing with the hydrant. I don't even know the kids on my block.
They go to work, come home, and lock themselves in the house. That's it. You never see them again until the next morning. Mm-hmm. Even I remember growing up, and I used to go to the African festival in Boys and Girls every year, and they stopped it. I don't know why they stopped it, but I just feel
at Commodore Park.
Yes, but I liked it
but
when it was
But they still have the one in Flatbush too.
Right, but I liked it when it was at Boys and Girls.
Because it was close?
No, because that's what I grew up knowing.
Yeah. It got bigger.
Yeah, they probably
It got bigger.
It got bigger.
But I just blame gentrification. I blame everything on gentrification.
But I think that when you say old Brooklyn, because everything's changing. Remember, there was no Barclays Center when we was younger. There was no movie theaters that you could eat in when we was younger. So it's a business aspect why it's changing. This is about business. Right. It's not so we don't see the business. It's a lot of money that's being invested in here, and we see it as, it's not really good and bad, but it's like a mixture. Some people may feel it's bad, some people may feel it's good. It's gonna be people all over different. We ride a train with people. We work with, remember, we go to Manhattan to work, so it's like going to Manhattan now. It's all type of different races.
Well, what do you guys feel about the Barclays Center in the middle of Atlantic
like it.
Avenue,
To be honest, I
which
love
is in
it.
between.
I don't have to go to the garden now. I don't have to
I
go
love the
to
fact
Manhattan.
that I don't have to cross the bridge to go for entertainment for a great meal. Like, I appreciate the little things. Like, I can walk down Lewis and I can go to Besso or, you know, something. I can get a decent meal without having to get on a train or put money for a cab or something like that. And, you know, I have a toddler. So we can go to the Barclays Center and see the circus or whatever the case is. So I think that that is
So you think the new
awesome.
Brooklyn is good for entertainment?
That portion is good.
My fondest memory of Brooklyn would be the Albee Square Mall, where everybody and their mother went shopping. And also, my fondest memory would be the old stores in downtown Brooklyn, which are no longer there today. And Coney Island, which has changed so dramatically with all the rides. That's all the good things of Brooklyn.
Brooklyn is still Brooklyn. It's worth living in, but am I worth living in Brooklyn? That's the question I like to ask because I can't afford it. So, you know, Brooklyn is worth living in, but I'm not worth living in it, obviously, because they made it so that I can't afford it. And they're knocking me out of Brooklyn.
As long as I can hold on, I'm gonna hold on. I'm fortunate enough that I can still be here. I don't have a roommate. I'm a single mom. I take care of my child. I feel like my roots are here in this community. I like walking through the neighborhood and telling my son something about when I was young, or I went to this school, or we used to play over here. Like, those little things are important to me.
So my question is, do you have something to leave for your son? Because by the time he get older and it's time for him to live, he's not going to be able to live in
working
Brooklyn.
towards it.
You're working towards it? So, but everybody's not that fortunate. So, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
I
the
mean,
only
we
thing.
have so much family.
Do you think it's that
here.
bad? Because they do have a lot of like
Low-income housing?
these low-income houses and all these different programs to
But who-
try to offset
No, 'cause
what's going
Yeah,
on.
but
It's
they
tough.
have
We're
the
not-
low-income houses, but there's no
Low-income is-
houses. There's buildings.
Apartments.
There's
She's talking about
apartments. So
housing
you
now.
want to be
Well-
squished in with like 1,000 other people in these
So
small
basically, you
income
just
apartments.
want space. You want your own space.
You wanna be a
don't feel
homeowner.
like
Yes.
you have to.
Be cramped in
Yeah.
a bunch of buildings. Brooklyn never used to be a bunch of buildings. If that was the case, then I would have moved to Manhattan. But everybody's not fortunate enough for their parents to own a home and pass it down to their children. You understand? In Brooklyn, everybody's not that fortunate.
So let me ask you a question. Let's say you had a home in Brooklyn.
I do have a home in Brooklyn.
Or let's say you have a home and someone says, okay, I want to give you $5 million for this home. You're not selling it? Because that's what's happening. So you wouldn't take $5 million. You'll keep it and just.
I mean, well, 5
I'm just giving an example. If someone,
But
because that's what's happening.
But give the example. But look at it this way: when houses were worth $200,000, and somebody came in and said, "I'll give you $7," so people were like,
Exactly.
"Oh,
Well, I live in
You know?
Brownsville, one of the worst areas that people say, or the last two areas between Brownsville and East New York, where people say that it's the last of the gentrification. And I'm on Powell, which is the borderline. On my block, my neighbor has the largest yard. He's on the corner, so it's a house similar to this. He's on the corner. They offered him, well, maybe 3 years ago, they started out offering him $500, and he kept going up. Now, 3 years later, they're offering $650 to build a building in his backyard.
Just to build.
Just
They're
to
going to
build-
give him.
$650 to build a building,
And he can keep his
and
house.
he can keep his house.
Is he taking it?
He's not taking it because he don't want to mess up the structure of the neighborhood.
yeah."
$2 million. You're not taking it. They're going to keep.
You
going
keep
up.
going up to $2 million. They keep going up. Obviously, he said if they go, past
So
700,000, he'll take it.
So he is going to take the money.
Yeah, he's just playing his
he's
games
bidding
right now.
that.
Yeah, he's
That's what you're
bidding.
supposed. Like the lady when they was building up downtown, it was this one lady or this one man that they offered him. He
By the
got-
Barclays Center,
yes,
the last tenant.
They gave him
Yes.
1.5
The
million.
last tenant, that's right.
1.5.
He would not move.
That's
Did
what
he
you-
take it?
That's what
Yes.
Ratner was offering more than that. He
He's
said
gone.
eventually he wound up taking $7 million. You know that,
guy?
right?
I thought
Yeah, no.
Because
It
he was,
was-
I was about to say, he didn't settle
He was
for
the
one.
last one. He didn't settle for that
Yeah, he got the
because
most.
it was $7
He did
million.
not budge.
Because what happened was this: all the surrounding houses in the area, like on Pacific, on
found out the
Bergen,
value
St.
of-
Mark's.
Oh, okay.
He got them all up out of there because he was like, listen, you either gonna take the 1.5 or I'm gonna get you up out of here any which
Yeah,
way.
because
Like,
they can try to pull eminent domain on you.
Right, because far as Rattlers, you know, they
got
big.
$7
He got $7 million for that.
So is it worth still living in Brooklyn? though?
Yes.
To me, it is. It is.
But you're
worth living.
you're getting forced out.
It
You're
depends
gonna
on
get
where
pushed
you at.
out.
It depends on your
where
your
you
living
at, where you
situation.
at.
Depends on your.
When you
your
say it
living
depends on
situation.
where you at.
Yeah,
Let's
like,
say the
that's
average
speaking
person.
generally,
The
like-
average person, we all have children, but think about the people who don't have children. Now, if you don't have children, you can afford certain things because you're spending your money yourself. But if you have a child, that may be different. So everybody's situation is different. We're thinking from a parent perspective. If I'm 25 years old and I'm making 60, 70,000, I'm good. I don't have no responsibility
Exactly.
but myself. That's the difference. That's why most of the people that come here, some of them are not parents and they don't have
All right, so
responsibility.
you're making 67,000 living in Brooklyn.
Some people can afford that with no children. Yes,
How
you
long
can.
will you stay though?
But if you don't got no kids, you can stay as long
But
as
that's
you
why
want.
we're talking about the old Brooklyn versus the new Brooklyn. The old Brooklyn was family oriented. People had children. You had your block
Grandparents
parties.
stayed
You
home.
know,
There were
grandparents
but there
stayed
weren't
home.
daycares on every
Exactly.
block because the grandparents.
So it's
had
basically a
somebody
culture.
home.
That you're talking based on the new Brooklyn.
No, even in old Brooklyn, there's people that didn't have kids growing up. When people, the rent that we call expensive now is, or cheap back then is still expensive. There's people that don't have a
Exactly,
job.
it's the standard.
So that's what I'm saying. There's always going to be people that don't have kids. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it's the same thing. We'll be having the same conversation, but at a different time. It's the same thing. So if I was 25 back in 2098 with no kids and the rent was, oh wow, one bedroom is $1,000.
Okay, so you're moving to the Bronx. Is Brooklyn still worth it?
It is, but I'm
So
doing
why
it
are you moving to the Bronx?
Because it's conducive for me.
Exactly my
But
point.
that doesn't mean I can't.
How
find
is it
something
conducive
here
for you?
Because it's close to my job. I could take the train. Well, to get
All
to
right,
my
so, well,
listen,
you're a
to
different
get
case.
listen, to get to my job, I have to take the C train or I take the 4 or the 5 to transfer to the 6. That's 2 trains. With
Okay.
this, I could take 1 train to work.
So that's conducive
So
to you,
that's
but what
your
about
difference. So
your
what-
family, like growing up, knowing that my son grew up here, I grew up here, now my son gonna grow up here, and his kids are gonna grow up there.
My son
You
lives in
lose that.
Flatbush. No, my son lives in Flatbush with his mom. He's not leaving.
No, see, but you're generalizing you.
Yourself.
What about
I can't do
everybody
that.
else?
Yeah.
I'm talking about me. I didn't say everybody.
Right,
But
and
we're talking about everybody.
but the majority
But
and
he
the
also
majority
agrees
can't do
with me
that.
You can find a lot of places in Brooklyn to live.
Did you say that? I didn't hear
Yes,
you say that.
he did say
Oh,
that.
I didn't
There
hear
are
you.
What I'm
lot-
trying to
there
say is
are a
all
lot
about
of
your
places.
perspective. Do you want to live in Coney Island? Do you want to live in Sunset Park? Do you want to live in Bay Ridge? Do you want to live in Flatbush?
Usually I want to live where I grew up at.
But it comes down to comfort.
I didn't
That's the
grow up in
comfort
Flatbush,
zone.
but
You're
I
in a
lived
comfort
there.
zone.
I didn't grow up in Flatbush neither.
So listen,
So
when
I grew up in
left
Bedford
New
Stuyvesant. I
York,
can't live there no more.
I lived in California for 6 years, and I left at the beginning of the gentrification period. When I came back to New York, I did not move over here immediately. I lived in Bensonhurst because, you know, the rent was just dirt cheap, and I had a car
apartments
and
were
all
nice
of this other
size.
stuff, and I didn't have a kid, so I could move the way that I wanted to move. Once I had a child, it was like, I miss my roots. I have family here. My son's father.
You feel like
was
your
on this
culture
side
is
of town.
taken from your
That's
culture,
right.
and then that's a
And I
shame
want
how
my
the culture
child
took from
to
you.
be exposed to
the culture.
the things that
The
you know,
culture,
are related
exactly.
To
I
us.
think it's culture.
Living in
It's more of you
Bensonhurst, I
being
had a
conformed to your-
combination
to your
of
way of living. It
Italian. I
has
had a
nothing to do
combination
with
of
culture.
Chinese.
What you mean
My
culture?
culture.
Brooklyn is a
You
culture.
can never take
It's
that
a
from me. That's
culture,
something that's
Brooklyn.
inside of you. You can never-
One of the greatest changes that I've seen is that other ethnic groups are coming in. Different, I should say, different from us. You know, and that's and the stigma that was on Bed-Stuy before, it's going away now because of those groups that are coming in.
And what stigma and
That Bed-Stuy is a bad place, and
gangs, bad areas. But now a lot of Caucasians are here, and they built up the neighborhoods. The neighborhoods are being built up.
that is all changing now.
and so that's a positive thing.
It's
Yeah,
positive
that's
for
positive.
us. We see it as very
New
positive.
buildings going up, and it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
So in a sense, it's kind of cleaning up a little bit.
I
Yes,
think
yes,
so,
it-
yeah.
it-
And they've
it's
beautified
inviting
Brooklyn.
people
The
to
neighborhoods were building trees. I think this thing has been planting trees and growing trees. It's really beautifying the areas in Brooklyn too.
Awesome.
Yeah, houses are being built, and it's wonderful. Like you have a lot of vacant areas in Brooklyn, barren fields, and they're building homes there now, which I think is great.
You notice any changes in Brooklyn?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like so I live over on Franklin, and like Franklin used to be like empty, and now it's full of people. Like you get off the subway, and it's just like crowds of people coming off the subway, whereas it didn't used to be that way.
Wow.
So it's weird. And like, I mean, in 4 years it's gone from maybe being like one restaurant or bar per block, and now it's like every single storefront is something. Some new kind of food or some new kind of bar.
So would you say that's a good thing, or?
I mean, it's a good thing, but it definitely draws more people. Which is kind of the reason I moved out of Manhattan, is to get away from the people. Now they're all coming here.
All come flocking here, right? It's become more attractive.
Yeah.
You know, we have to maintain our flavor and our style. We have to maintain the essence of our blocks. So there's some blocks in particularly here in Bed-Stuy, where we have, it's like Musicians Row, right? And everybody's drumming at a certain time. We need to hold on to that. We're the kings and queens. I mean, it's the county of kings, right? We're the kings of block parties. We need to maintain our block parties. If you don't have a block association, contact Brooklyn Borough Hall, 718-802-3700. We'll show you how to do it. And let's keep our flavor up. Brooklyn is that neighborhood where everybody wants to be, everybody wants to brand. If it happens in Brooklyn, you know it's gonna happen the rest of the country, right? We bleed out through the rest of the world. So we need to just maintain who we are, keep our good mornings and our occasionally in Brooklyn, and make sure that we maintain the culture and the community that we have always had, no matter who comes to visit.
One of my fondest memories of Brooklyn is Easter Sunday, when everybody would get dressed up, go to church first, then after church we would all go to Coney Island and ride the Cyclone. That was so much fun back in the day. That was my fondest memory of Brooklyn.
My name is Joseph.
Hey, my name is Walt Fraser.
My name is Ristan, Eunique.
My name is Sabir, Salem.
My name is Eve Biggers, and you're watching Breaking Bread Sunday Brunch.